Alrighty, welcome back guys to another new comic book day video. We're on our way right now to the comic book store, but I thought while we're doing that, maybe I can go over last week's comics as well. So if you guys are interested in my thoughts on what came out previously, this is for the week of January 1st. We're going to go over that right now. But like I said, we're also going to be going over my new comic book day pickups once I get them from the store. We're getting that hot dog, of course. Got to get the hot dog. And then we're also going to be going over some of my December TBRs. So if you guys are interested in kind of book reviews, or you want to know my thoughts on what I read in the month of December, we had a lot of great things, so definitely stay tuned for that. I was saying, let's go over what came out last week, right? So Absolute Superman issue number 3. I think Absolute Superman is probably my second favorite Absolute title. I think Absolute Wonder Woman might be my favorite, but I really like all the look that we're getting at kind of Krypton before it exploded. We're learning a lot more from the L's, seeing his parents being really badass, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, I thought issue number 3, the series just keeps getting better and better, so I'm really loving Absolute Superman. Definitely a step up for me. Also came out last week is Ultimates issue number, I think it's 7 or 8. This is the issue that we get introduced to the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I really like this new team, kind of how I don't know how they're going to integrate into the rest of the Ultimates title. We got some backstory on America Chavez, right? But I'm not sure how the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to fit into the rest of the series. So that'll be interesting to see. But the Ultimates is just one of the standout titles from Marvel. Definitely got to pick that up. Also came out last week is Two-Face issue number 2. I think that Two-Face is off to a great start. So Christian Ward is writing this one. I'm more of a more familiar with his art, his writing. He hasn't written a lot of series, but when he does, man, it's some killer stuff. So Two-Face issue number 2, I think is off to a really great start. The art from I believe it's Varus, really awesome stuff there. As far as the art goes, it's kind of got like a Christian Ward sort of style to it. But yeah, so that series has been off to a great start. It's kind of Two-Face trying to be like a I don't know, he's trying to be like a middleman between all the different criminal organizations. So it's interesting to see kind of that look at Two-Face. And I'm glad that kind of Batman's rogues are getting some other time to shine. Also came out last week is JSA issue number 3. Jeff Lemire is just killing this series, man. Having a ton of fun with it. It's really focused on kind of the legacy of all the different JSA members. And it's a little bit chaotic right now. We're kind of just thrown into the middle of, some of the JSA members are missing. And so the ones that are left kind of have to pick up the pieces and kind of figure out what's going on. But yeah, I think the series is off to a great start. I wish I could remember the artist's name, but this is my first time kind of, seeing their work. But it's a Jeff Lemire series. You got to keep picking it up. Also, we have Batman Full Moon issue number 3. So this is written by Rodney Barnes, who I'm not too familiar with their work, but the art is from Steven Subic, who did the art for Riddler Year 1. Dude, this is probably like one of the best looking Batman miniseries of all time. Having a lot of fun with Batman Full Moon. Definitely check that series out. If you're into, kind of like a different sort of Batman story, I think it's a step above like your traditional just werewolf story. So that's been really fun. We also have Batgirl issue number 3. So Batgirl is just really great, dude. Tate Brombell writing this. And I believe the artist's name is it Miyazaki? That's probably not right. Miyazawa, something like that. Apologies, I forgot it. But Batgirl is so great, man. I love all the different complicated family dynamics between Cassandra Cain and the mom, Shiva. And then just an action-packed issue as well. That whole train sequence is just like stand out. So really great stuff from the Batgirl series. Glad that Cassandra Cain is getting some time to shine. We also have Batman issue number 158. We're coming to an end of Chip Zdarsky's run here, but I've been having a lot of fun with it, man. I think this arc is like, back to where it was when the failsafe stuff was going on. Too bad this is kind of, nearing its end, the Chip Zdarsky run. But I do think it's great. I'm not really looking forward to Hush 2. So my kind of question is what's going to happen after Hush 2. That's what I'm waiting for. And then last but not least, man, we have Birds of Prey issue number 17. So I think Birds of Prey is just really fun, man. What else can I say about it? Kelly Thompson's doing a great job. The team dynamics are great. This was the end of maybe like arc number 4 or something like that. So we're getting ready for the new arc. Yeah, I think this arc was fine. Definitely not the best arc of the series, but it's always going to be a series that I'm going to pull just because it's so much fun. I think Kelly Thompson's doing a great job. So yeah, that's everything that came out last week that I had a chance to read. Let's go in right now and go pick up my new comics from Casablanca Comics, and I'll show you guys what I'm picking up. Alrighty guys, just got out of the comic book shop. Let me get the pulls out. Oh, I started getting boards as well as bags. So my shop offers bags for free, but I've started to get boards as well. I don't know. Figure it's just easier to get it while I'm there. But let's get into the haul. A lot of cool stuff today, dude. I think my pick of the week, this might surprise a lot of people, but my pick of the week might be Batman Dark Patterns, dude. We're in such like a good time for good Batman stories. Close second. I mean, probably like 1A and 1B. Absolute Batman issue number 4, right? Yeah. So Dark Patterns issue number 2. I've been loving what Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman are doing so far. I think the villain's pretty sick. And then Absolute Batman number 4. So it's a really close tie between these two, but we're in such a good place for Batman stories. So yeah, definitely those two are my, 1 and 2 in terms of picks of the week. But then yeah, let's get into it. So we also have Batman and Robin issue number 17. So, like I was saying, we're in a really good time for Batman stories. We have Philip Kennedy Johnson on this one, and then Fernandez on the art. And I think it's a pretty good story so far. Pretty intriguing. Just the dynamic between, Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne. You can't get enough of that. So been enjoying that. Batman and Robin issue number 17. We also have a new number 1 today. So Aquaman issue number 1. I'm excited about checking this out because it's written by Jeremy Adams, who I'm a huge fan of. He's been doing a lot of great stuff over at DC. And then John Timms on the art. So he was on I think it was a Superman, maybe an Action Comics for a couple issues, but I really fell in love with John Timms' style. Just very, very clean looking. Not the Adam Project ad, but you guys see over here. So very similar to like a Dan Mora sort of, right? Like, just got that classic DC like house style, house comic or superhero style. So been enjoying that. New number 1 also from Image Comics. We have the Lucky Devils. So this is the same creative team as 8 Billion Genies. So Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. Huge fan of 8 Billion Genies. This team just does magic together, right? So excited about checking this out. I think the concept, honestly, I don't know too much about it. I just know that Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. So that's why I was picking it up. But something to do with heaven and hell type stories. So I'm a pretty big fan of those. So excited to check that out. Also, let's go back over to there's one more. No more DC. So yeah, let's start talking about the Marvel pickup for today. Only one. We have Ultimate Black Panther issue number 12. And I told the guys at the shop, man, I said this might be my last Ultimate Black Panther that I ever pick up. No offense, it's just slow as hell, man. Like, what is going on, bro? I think You're the Collector, if you're out there, he was saying that you can take these 12 issues and just condense them down to 8, and it's like the same thing. So this might be the last Ultimate Black Panther. Not a bad series by any means, but Jesus, it's so slow. We also have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue number 21. Love this series from Boss and Rosenberg. I'm wicked behind, but got to keep supporting them, and one of my favorite creative teams of all time. So excited to pick that up. Big hitter from over at Skybound Image. We have Transformers issue number 16. Danny Warren Johnson written with Jorge Corona on the art. This is just an amazing series, man. I'm gonna write it out, and even though the other Energon Universe titles I'm switching over to trades, I'm gonna write it out and get the Transformers title in singles as long as Danny Warren Johnson's writing it. So yeah, excited about that. I didn't know this came out today, so we have Kill All Immortals issue number 5. I'm on like issue number 2, so pretty behind on it, but Zach Kaplan written series. I liked issue number 1 and 2. Just got to catch up, but Kill All Immortals issue number 5 from Dark Horse Comics. Also from Dark Horse Comics, new series, Those Not Afraid. This is written by Kyle Starks. I'm a huge fan of Kyle Starks. He did a lot of great stuff that I've liked recently. So excited to get into his new series. I think it's a like a detective kind of story. So, excited about that. I'm usually in for stories like that, written by Kyle Starks, so it should be pretty good. Not familiar with the artist Patrick Piazzalunga or Marco Baracco. I'm not familiar with those, but Kyle Starks is great, so that's why I picked it up. And then last single issue for today, we have Napalm Lullaby issue number 8. This series I'm going to be switching to trades, but it's one of my favorite series of last year. I think that Remender and Bengal are just killing this series. It's a ton of fun, really cool concepts. It's really punk. If you guys are looking for something that's like, especially as moving in 2025, you're looking for something a little punk, definitely check out Napalm Lullaby. But yeah, I'll be switching this to trades. So this will be the last single issue I get of that. And then last pickup overall today, man. Got a little Image Comics $10 trade, dude. They always do their volume number. They typically do their volume number 1s at $10 for their trades. So we have Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, volume number 1. Duggan, Brown, O'Halloran. Huge fans of all those names. And I heard this series was really good, but I missed it when it was coming out in singles. So I was like, hey, I'm just gonna wait for it to come out in a trade. Finally, that day is here. Can get into the series. Really excited about it. Yeah, $10 trade, man, from Image. How can you pass that up? So Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, volume number 1. That's what we got for New Comic Day, man. A lot of great stuff for today. Let's see. Now I'm thinking Absolute Batman is gonna be my pick of the week, dude. What's going on with me, dude? Switching it all the time, but so yeah, this is what we got today, man. Not too bad. Did a little bit of a damage, which honestly, guys, December did a lot of damage to my wallet, so keeping it a little bit light today. But yeah, let me know what you guys are picking up in the comments down below. All right, we're back from the new comic book day store. We got the polls, you guys saw it. You also heard my thoughts on last week's comic books, January 1st. So let's get into some of the other topics that we had. But first up, man, I gotta show you guys. You guys love seeing this, dude. I get comments all the time. That's the hot dog this week, guys. I'll zoom in, you guys can see. Looking forward to eating that, dude. I'm actually wicked hungry, but I want to finish this video first. Either way, dude, let's talk about some of the things that I read in the month of December. Also, I didn't get to mention it, but in this video, we're also talking about some of the new series that start in January from DC, Marvel, and the Indies. Stay tuned for that. We'll probably do that topic after this. But this is what I read in the month of December 2024. I'll stop playing coy. I'll show you guys. So, you know, that's what we got. 3 different things. Let's talk about them from like best to worst, I guess, but not like any of these are bad. They're all really great reads, but let's just start with the best thing that I read in the month of December. We've got Friday, book 1, First Day of Christmas. Written by Ed Brubaker, art from Martín, and coloring from Muntsa, Vicente. So as I'm flipping through, I'll tell you guys a little bit about the story. It's about this girl named Friday Fitzberg and Lancelot Jones, as you guys can see there. Back in the day, Friday and Lancelot were kind of like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, right? So like in their small New England town, they were just going around solving crimes. They were able to like work something out with the detective and the sheriff of that small town, and you know, just solve crimes. It's kind of like, I don't know, like, not the Brady Bunch, but, you know, like those classic, like, young adult detective sort of novels that, you know, each book is a case or whatever. So that's kind of like the vibe that they're going for. So Friday and Lancelot, back in the day, they used to, you know, collaborate all the time and work on these cases. Friday has since left this small town. She went off to college, but she's back for the holiday break, right? So, so that's kind of like the setup for this story. So it's kind of like young adult detectives that are all grown up, and it's kind of like they're dealing with very adult problems, right? So they're not kids anymore, but this is kind of the vibe that they had back in the day, just solving all these different cases, having a lot of fun doing it. But you know, times change, people change, and all that stuff. So I think that this series is off to a great start. I'm in the middle of book number 2 right now. I chose that as one of my January reads, but definitely recommend Friday. This is an awesome series by Ed Brubaker. You guys know I'm trying to read more Ed Brubaker this year for sure. And if you guys are looking for, it's kind of like a younger adult sort of slant to it, but like I said, they do deal with very adult themes. And I'll tell you guys right now, the way this one ends, it's such a wicked cliffhanger. If you guys read this, you're going to want to pick up book number 2 right away. And in book number 2, man, it is just knocking my socks off right now, dude. Super crazy, super wild, taking a lot of twists that I would never expect. But I'm very, very impressed with this Friday series. Definitely recommend it. If you guys are noticing I don't have a trade near me. Oh, okay, we do. So if you guys are noticing kind of the size of it, it's a little bit smaller than your typical trade. So it's a little bit of like a different format. I know that might turn some people off, but I think this Friday series is off to such a wicked good start. Definitely recommend checking it out. Ed Brubaker written series, so you know, it was probably going to be at least pretty good, right? But yeah, that's the first thing I read in the month of December. Next up, we've got Blankets by Craig Thompson, dude. Very, very glad I read this. This is like a top 10, top 15 series for me of all time. It's kind of like an autobiography graphic novel about this guy. You know, Craig Thompson, it's about him, it's about his life. But back in the day, he, you know, very close with his brother growing up, but then nowadays maybe he's not so close with his brother anymore, but you know, he's got like this interest in girls, so he does fall in love with a girl, and you kind of see that part of the story, but at the same time, Craig's also dealing with you know, dealing with his religion. Like he's not sure he's a really religious person, but he comes from a super religious household, and it kind of, you know, rubs him the wrong way. Like he's not really sure if the lessons that they're teaching are really, you know, the right way to go about it, right? Like he think there's some friction between him and the church, I guess is the best way to put it. So it's kind of got that coming of age type of thing. He's dealing with this new relationship with this girl. He's dealing with, you know, some complicated things with his family, both with his brother and his super religious and strict parents. And then on top of it all, man, it's just a great story about love. So definitely recommend checking it out. The way it ended, kind of bittersweet the way it ended, but that's a way I feel like a lot of, if you went to high school in the U.S., you'll definitely vibe with this. I think one of the most legendary coming of age stories of all time. Takes place in the Midwest too, so if you guys are around the Midwest area, you might appreciate a lot of the callbacks to this. But yeah, just an excellent story. I think Craig Thompson is just an excellent cartoonist. As I was showing you the art, I wasn't even really getting into like some of his crazier panels, but he really does. That's I can't show that. I can't show that on YouTube, but just some really great like fundamental cartooning style. I really love it, and yeah, definitely recommend this series. It's available in this kind of 20th anniversary. I think the publisher is Drawn and Quarterly. I think there's a hardcover out there as well, maybe like a little bit older, but blankets, man. This should be on everybody's, to read list or whatever. Definitely recommend that at some point in your life, dude. I think you'll get a lot out of it. Blankets by Craig Thompson. And then finally, last but not least, we had Klaus, Grant Morrison, Dan Mora, the legends, of course. So previously, I had read about half of the material included in this. I read it a while ago as part of a Color Break segment, actually, the comic book podcast that I do. But man, as you guys are seeing, man, I flip it through. So probably up until right here, this is about the material that I had read previously. So half of this collected edition was all new stuff that I hadn't read previously. And not to be like a bummer or to dissuade you guys from reading Klaus, I do think it's like an excellent series that you got to read at some point. This first half, like this first, trade that they ever did is definitely the highlight for me. The stuff that comes after, it's not bad. It's just, I really do feel like a lot of them it's like a collection of short stories, and they're all like a little bit too short to give the story room to breathe, give the art room to breathe. The art's going to be amazing regardless, right? It's Dan Mora. Of course it's going to be awesome, but I just feel like all the stories were just so short, and they're kind of just like right there. I just flipped through like almost the entire that story. But I don't think anything that anything new that I read in the month of December, it never reached the peaks that the first part that I read a while back did. So I do think that the beginning of this is just an all-time classic story, and then everything that comes after, maybe you don't have to read it every Christmas, you know what I'm saying? But definitely this first part is going to be like an all-time, every Christmas read for me is going to be this first bit of Klaus. Second half, not too high on, as to be honest with you guys. It's got a lot of interesting ideas with the Santa Claus mythology and a bunch of other, like folk heroes and that sort of thing. But I don't know, it kind of just left me wanting a lot more, to be honest with you. Especially coming off the first half, which is just like some of the best superhero stuff you can read from Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. The second half was a little bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. Felt a little bit rushed at some points, but the stories didn't get enough time to breathe, really. It was just like a one shot essentially. That's how kind of was like a series of one shots. But that's what I read in the month of December, man. A lot of great stuff. There was also a book that I'll find a place to talk about at some point, but trying to read more, books, words, no pictures. But yeah, that's what we read in the month of December. Pretty good set of reads, man. Definitely recommend all these different things. But yeah, that's what I read. Let's get into some of the things that are coming out in the month of January. The new series, all the new number ones from DC, Marvel, and the indies. Let's get into it. January is going to be a huge month for comic books. January 2025. There's a lot of different cool things coming out from DC, Marvel, and the indies. Let's get into it. And I want to start off with Aquaman, dude. Aquaman, I think, from DC Comics is going to be one of the better series of DC All In. I really do feel, because Jeremy Adams is on the writer, right? And then John Timms is on pencils, right? So huge fan of Jeremy Adams and John Timms. I think they got some really cool stuff going on. The colorist, we got Rex, Locus, and the letterer David Sharp. But this is going to be a back to basics title for Aquaman. There was all this kind of stuff that happened after Absolute Power, where Aquaman's powers, he got kind of leveled up a little bit. I think it's Mira's powers that he got. So he has the ability to control water now. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And it sounds like there's like a bunch of different kaiju that are starting to pop up everywhere, and Aquaman is going to have to go and figure that out. So he's reclaiming, he's back on the throne. He's got all these different powers, and he's back on the Justice League, but he's got to go on this sort of side mission. So I'm excited about it, dude. Jeremy Adams was killing stuff over on the the Flash title. I mean, he was doing such a good job bringing Wally West back to the heights of DC, right? And then he went on and did some stuff over at the Green Lantern side of things, and I think he's been killing it over there. So I'm excited about it. Aquaman, let's see if this can be like my first ever Aquaman title that I'm going to be pulling. I'm excited about it though. So Aquaman issue number 1, and that comes out, it actually came out today, January 8th. I already picked it up. You guys probably already saw that. New number 1 from Image Comics, we got the Lucky Devils. So let's just read this solicitation because it's a little short. So, Good Omens meets Curse Words in this new series from the duo behind the smash hit 8 Billion Genies. The Lucky Devils is a tale of 2 rebellious demons who decide to start a revolution in hell, and the 2 ordinary 20-something humans they're going to manipulate to do it. A cheeky, satirical look at the good and evil, the Lucky Devils explores Faustian bargains and temptation in a rip-roaring, hilarious new way. So, what more needs to be said than this is the same creative team behind 8 Billion Genies, one of my favorite indie series of all time. Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. This series is definitely going to be one to not miss from Image Comics. A lot of hype around this because of the creative team, man. So excited to get into this. Yeah, it looks like that. Just making sure I got the... Okay, so the color is, we got Kevin Nipstein, and the letter we got Crank. So wanted to, shout out the other members of the art team as well. But Charles Soule, Ryan Brown, that's majority of why everybody's buying this series. The Lucky Devils should be pretty good. Also coming out today is Cruel Universe from Oni Press and their EC Comics label. So if you guys are familiar with Epitaphs from the Abyss, that's their horror anthology series. We also have Cruel Universe, which is their sci-fi horror anthology series. This is going to be more of a like a horror series, I believe, but it's going to be more focused on like medieval fantasy. So if we're looking here, we have, they mention Cruel Universe is EC's first ever dark fantasy anthology, tales of myth, magic, and murder from forbidden realms long before our own. And then we have stuff from Al Ewing here, Chris Condon, who's doing great stuff over at DC right now, Greg Pak, and Kano as an artist, Leo Max as well as an artist. So just an all-star creative team on this, and I've really been enjoying everything EC's been doing on their anthology side of things. Definitely Cruel Universe is my favorite, but Epitaphs from the Abyss is super solid as well. And then Cruel Kingdom, man, this should be pretty fun. Just looking at kind of like the dark fantasy side of things. So always down for a new anthology series, and this one seems to be pretty good. So that again is from EC Comics over at Oni Press, and that comes out January 8th. Moving right along, we also have a new series today from Dark Horse Comics. So I picked this up today. We have Those Not Afraid. So for those that don't know, this is written by Kyle Starks, who's a 3-time Eisner nominee. Congrats to Kyle Starks, dude, you'll get it one day. Really love Kyle Starks stuff. This is going to be for fans of true crime and murder fiction. So we have 2 serial killers that discover they're within, I remember this one now. They're within, within reach for the state, the record for the most kills. So these 2 serial killers are going to be going head to head trying to, break the record. So kind of like a dark kind of humor that Kyle Starks is known for, but just on that concept alone, I mean, it just sounds insane. But huge fan of true crime and murder fiction, definitely. So Kyle Starks written, I'm there, man. So Those Not Afraid, issue number 1 from Dark Horse Comics, that came out January 8th. So it should be in comic shops if you're watching this. Coming out on Jan 15, man. Huge day over at Marvel Comics. We have Ultimate Wolverine. So this is spinning out of, all the Ultimate Universe stuff over at Marvel Comics. This has Chris Condon as the writer. I was just mentioning him. He's been killing it lately. And we have Alessandro Cappuccio, who I think they were doing the art on the Moon Knight series. Really standout stuff over there. So Ultimate Wolverine, man. This was one of my most anticipated of the year for sure. I'm just a huge fan of Chris Condon and Cappuccio on the art. But, another entry into the Ultimate Universe. I'm glad they're expanding it. Especially now, dude, I'll be honest with you guys. I dropped Ultimate Black Panther. You pick up Ultimate Wolverine, right? So the same amount of Ultimate Universe titles that I'm picking up. But yeah, excited about this. A lot of great covers on this one as well. But colorist, we got Brian, what is it, Valenza, and then letterer we have Corey Petit. So yeah, shout out Chris Condon and Capuccio though, man. Excited about this. This comes out, like I said, Marvel Comics on January 15th, so look out for that. Next up, a couple more to go through, guys. You Won't Feel a Thing. The rest of them are indie series, so definitely excited about some indie series coming out. You Won't Feel a Thing from Distillery releases on January 15th. And guys, Scott Snyder and Jock, right? So the two creators that, one of the most legendary comic book duos of all time. And this series is off to just a super great start. It says down there, for fans of Zodiac, Memento, and True Detective. That's right on the money, dude. If you're fans of any of that, definitely check out You Won't Feel a Thing. I was having a lot of fun with You Won't Feel a Thing, man. So it's Distillery is known for their kind of prestige format. So they wanted to highlight it there, and I definitely think it really works for the series. It's all about this dude who, he was like one of the best detectives back in the day, but he has since kind of fallen victim to, I think, brain cancer. So he's on the way out the door, but before he passes, he wants to solve this one last crime that he was never able to solve, because it seems like the killer from back in the day, he's starting back up again, man. So this guy, this detective, Jack Bernard, is really going to go after, before he finally kicks the bucket, he's got to solve this one last crime, man. But yeah, I really enjoyed You Won't Feel a Thing. Definitely recommend picking it up from Distillery. That's on January 15th. Moving right along, we got 4 more. So this one is part of the Horizon experiment. For those who don't know, it's kind of like a giving kind of unrepresented, marginalized communities kind of a bigger voice in comic books. So I think it's got a really strong message behind it. But essentially, the Horizon experiment is just space for these different, creators of color to come in and kind of tell a story that maybe not, it wouldn't have been told otherwise, right? And the whole kind of thing is stories that but what if the main protagonist came from a different background than previous, right? So in this one, it's going to be focused on kind of like a Tomb Raider sort of story, but I believe it's a reverse Indiana Jones, right? So this person is going to be stealing from the museums and putting it back into their native culture. So really interesting flip on the classic concept that we know. And yeah, so I'm excited about this. Hopefully my shop gets them in. But we have the Horizon Experiment, Finders, Keepers, issue number 1 on January 15th. And I believe the whole thing is that if any of these Horizon Experiment series like do really well, the issues number 1, then we'll eventually see those as like a continuing series. So gotta support the Horizon project, man. There's a couple that I missed and I feel kind of bad about it. I think that the initiative is really strong. But yeah, Finders, Keepers, issue number 1, Reverse Indiana Jones from Image Comics, and that comes out on January 15th. Sounds pretty cool. We also have interesting, dude. So there's two different series that are focused on trains that are coming out this month. So first one from Mad Cave Studios, we have Kill Train. This one is all about this extermination program in the future, New York City, where you're picked at random, and then at the end of the line, you're all gonna die. So it's just like a population control type of thing. So really interesting concept, and I think Mad Cave Studios have been really killing it lately. Not familiar with any of the creators. We have Olivia Quarto Briggs and Martina Niosi. So not familiar with those creators, not familiar with their previous works, but interesting kind of setup for Kill Train, man. This single mom is on the Kill Train, and she's gonna have to try to not die, not fall victim to the Kill Train. So this series sounds pretty interesting. Kill Train, January 29th, so at the end of the month, and that's from Mad Cave Studios. Just because it's actually it also comes out on January 29th. So on the same day, we're getting 2 stories about trains. We have Blood Train, okay? This is 28 Days Later meets The Ruins. And this one's going to be more of a horror story. So this one comes out of Image Comics on January 29th, same day as Kill Train, the other series. But it sounds like, I'll just read the solicit real quick. After backpacking through Asia, a group of friends climb aboard the Serbian Express to start their journey home. Little do they know they bought a one-way ticket to hell, as one of them has been infected with a bioweapon that will turn into a monster who will slaughter everyone on the train. And the bioweapon starts World War III if it reaches its destination in Europe. So these friends must make a difficult choice: kill someone they love to save the world, or die trying. So I'm not familiar with these creators down here. We have Adam Glass and Bernard Chang, but I think this setup sounds pretty interesting, man. So you have a group of friends that are on the train, and one of the friends falls victim to, he's like patient zero for like this murderous rampage virus, and his friends might have to like put him down, dude. So Blood Train, issue number 1, comes out on January 29th from Image Comics. That one sounds pretty interesting as well. But I just thought it was so interesting that there's 2 different stories about trains coming out on the same day. So that's kind of weird. We also have, last but not least, probably one of the biggest releases from Image Comics in a while. We have the Seasons issue number 1. This is from Rick Remender, so you guys know it's probably going to be written well, right? But then on the art we have, well, first off, the colorist is Matt Lopez and letterer is Russ Wooten. So that creative team right there, working with Rick Remender. And then we have Paul Azasita. So apologies, I just butchered your name, Paul, but I'm a huge fan of what they've released so far, all the different previews. It sounds like this series is going to be, it's like another detective type of story. So there's 4 sisters: Summer, Winter, Spring, and Autumn. They're the Seasons sisters, the daughters of the world-renowned Seasons detectives. So 10 years ago, these 4 girls were, their parents were disappeared. They disappeared. So ever since then, these 4 sisters have had to kind of like work together. And in this story, the youngest sister, Spring, is going to be the last hope of saving them from a fate worse than death. So I think this one's kind of got like a horror slant to it from what I was seeing. So I don't know, man, interesting kind of setup. I like the kind of idea behind the Season sisters, and we're talking about, back in the day being a detective group and stuff like that. So I'm interested in checking this out. Rick Remender written series, Image Comics. I mean, how can you go wrong? And that comes out on January 29th, dude. So that's everything that I'm looking forward to in the month of January. We have some Marvel, we have some DC, but mostly it's all those indie series. Let me know what you guys are excited for in the month of January 2025. What are you excited to check out? Thank you guys for watching this portion of the video.